Welcome back to the Planet Paintball podcast, brought to you by 1023 Sportswear and Southwest Paintball in Bayfield, Colorado. Tonight, I got Mike from Afterlife and Bear Ridge D3 with me. What's going on, man?
Not too much, man. How are you?
Not as good as you.
Yeah, feeling pretty good after the weekend.
So Gwen with the boys at the final episode, I believe is what we're
Yes.
calling it, of the NGXL. And
Yep.
you also took home the MVP.
Yeah, it was different, man. You know, the rain, which I didn't expect, to be honest with you. I thought it was going to be sunny up until like 6 o'clock, and then just absolute downpouring. The way that field is, the left side of the field stays completely underwater, and then the right side of the field is like pretty dry. So you got like the best of both worlds throughout the rest of the day. And then it got hot, hotter than could be.
And that was the asymmetrical layout too, right?
Yeah. I was like, Midwest, I guess we call it like the Texas flip,
Okay.
where it's like you're essentially every time like the snake side and like runs into Doritos. So yeah, it was unique. Shot left-handed the entire time, which isn't the greatest thing for me, but worked out to my favor.
So what side did you play, snake or Doritos, I guess?
Fun fact, up the middle.
Up the middle. Okay,
Every
even
point,
better.
yeah, every point.
All right. Hey, I appreciate up the middle, man.
Yeah, I'm modeling my game after Rios.
Okay. Not a bad guy to model it after, for sure.
Yeah.
Before we got on, kind of new to the Southeast scene / Georgia scene.
Yeah, so started the year with BC Riot out of Blast Camp. Played D3 with them for Tampa, took sixth. And then we played in the Mid-American X-Ball League at Blast Camp, won that first event, and it ended up moving down here kind of like halfway through the season. And I was going to try to stay on with them, and some sketchy stuff happened. And then I was like, you know what? I'm down here. I'm not going to fly back. Like, there was some internal team stuff going on that I didn't appreciate. And I was like, I'm just going to stick down here. Josh welcomed me with open arms. D3 team welcomed me with open arms. Was going to play Ohio with them. Got sick the week of the event and couldn't make it. So did layout weekend, stayed down here because I was originally for work flying back and forth. So I was down here Thursday through Sunday every week since March. And then we moved down here in late May. So it was tough. And I was like trying to balance paintball, kids, wife. So you can only imagine how happy she was.
Yeah.
When we actually got here.
Yeah, I've done the live away from the spouse and kids thing for work, and it's not fun.
No. Yeah, when you come home, you just feel like the bad guy every time.
Yeah.
You just can't do enough to catch up.
Yeah, and you miss so much too, especially like I know you got
100%.
little ones, so like you go away for a week and they've learned something new.
Yeah, it's crazy. So it just joined up with them in Dallas, which that was my first event with Bear Ridge. And I mean, it was great. It was a lot of learning. It's hard to just like jump in with a team. Like I've been practicing with them for, like a solid month and a half and stuff like that. But event stuff, it's a lot of trust. They had the 5 guys. So, I mean, I played a good amount, but I'm always kind of pushing myself. And, I'm sure we'll get into that and training and everything, in this conversation. But definitely was something that I don't want to go back and do Dallas again, what we did, because it was like we're dropping, we lost a 5-on-3, we lost a couple 4-on-2s. Like it was just really tough with what we were trying to do, and we kind of thought we had it figured out, and then we kind of switched up some guns and things like that. Just was a tough event, to say the least. Won our last match, which was great. Went out on, on a high note, if you can call that a high note. And, but yeah, I mean, it was, I feel like I'm fitting in well with a lot of the guys out here, and, getting to know some of the semi-pro dudes and the D2 guys. Tanner Conrad on D2, he coached us for Afterlife. Nice. So that was a good, learning a lot from him. And, I know he played with the D2 guys last year when they won the series. So it's been fun, man. It's been a whole different animal. But I'll tell you this, the biggest difference from Midwest paintball to Southern paintball, which was the most shocking, is at blast camp, 9 a.m., guns are rolling, points are happening, like drills are done already. I came out here and like the first day of practice, I show up to the field at like 7:45. There wasn't a soul there. And I was like,
Yeah.
when does this stuff start?
Yeah, we like to mosey on in, have a little
Yeah.
conversation, finish the coffee up.
Yeah. I was like, and then there's like 10:45 rolls around. They're like, all right, like we're rolling points. I was like, dude, I thought I was gonna be home by like 1. Yeah.
I will
Didn't
say
happen.
10:45 is a little late of a start time. Um,
Hey, it was shocking to me, man.
yeah. Well, it's always interesting. I mean, different regions definitely have different vibes, right? But like even different fields have different vibes on
100%.
outside of the time thing. I mean, coming from Blast Camp, obviously home to Heat now, and they had the Blast Camp boys before then. I would say you got pretty lucky with moving into other area of a really up and coming solid program. But how
Dude,
do they compare?
you have no idea how happy I was when I found out because I'm like, I didn't even think about paintball on the move because I was like, I can't make that decision because like I wanted it to be part of it, like I wanted to be like, I need to find a good field. But then I saw Bear Ridge and I was like, oh, I was like, holy crap, like Bear Ridge like is right there. But I mean, we got to play at Blast Camp. You get to play against like Jackson, La Papa, Ronnie. They're all out there every weekend. A lot of the infamous guys like Rodarte and Nate and them, they're out there. And then like all the like the original Blast Camp guys who are now Wildside Distortion, they're out there quite a bit too. So I mean, it was a grind every weekend with those guys, and then some layout weekends because Heat, majority of the guys are out that way. They had like Red Legion and a couple other people show up for like layout weekends, so we didn't get to play them. But just being able to see those guys play is intense, right? Like it's crazy. They just operate on, I think, a different level than like everyone else. Because they're one of those teams that's like always together all the time, always playing. And then coming down here, it was, seeing the semi-pro guys, seeing the D2 guys, like hopefully pro next year. Right?
Yeah.
And then you got like Timmy Roberts, who I, started to talk to quite a bit. Great guy. You got Kyle Berry out here. And I remember my first practice, Kyle came out there and he was like, he's like, who wants to snap? Do like snap, practice. And I was like, oh, dude, me, like sign me up. And just lit me up. That's actually was my first time getting absolutely smoked by a pro because we had so Cody Mikowski lives down in Wisconsin and he owns a warehouse. And so he set up like a little reball arena and he just messages people and he's like, hey, like whoever wants to come out, 5, 6 guys. So we go out to the reball arena at like from like 5 to 7 p.m. He'll jump in. He's in jeans and a polo and just absolutely wrecks you. But it's just like great training. And it's like, it's Midwest, right? It's cold, it's rainy. So it's like super cool to be able to have that type of experience. And you can sometimes get them to do a little one-on-one stuff with you. And honestly, that's what changed my snapping quite a bit is just him being like, hey, like your body's moving too much. You're doing too much of this. You're not doing enough of this. Like, get behind your gun like this. And he kind of changed the way that I held everything and just, it was night and day difference. So big shout out to him for a lot of the kills I got this weekend. But, it's just one of those things that those are the little things that I miss, right? Because it's just like not everybody has that. You got Slowiak out there too. They're actually neighbors.
Yeah.
So it's like.
And brother-in-laws, I think.
Yeah, and brother-in-laws. So you just, those are awesome guys. I mean, Sloyak, right? Like you could ask that guy anything and he'll take the time out of his day to help you, understand a field, a shot, a layout, a move, whatever it is. Same with Cody, right? So it's just, that was the big thing that I miss, right? Is just having those guys around, being able to go to those, having kids, right? Being able to go and do a drill night from 7 to 9 p.m. Like that's awesome.
Yeah.
So that's, one of the big differences.
So this reball cage, was it like just 2 bunkers that you could snap in?
Dude, it was like no, it was like a full like 1v1 field.
Okay, so we're
Like it
talking
was
like
crazy.
Hormesa size?
It was a little smaller than that, but it
Okay.
was probably, I mean, it's enough to have, we would do this drill where it'd be like 2-on-2 and you had to go and like touch a cone in the middle. And so the goal was to like pinch one of the guys out and then, hold the other guy in so your other player could go touch the middle cone. So it's like, there's enough for that and then enough for one-on-ones. So it's not like hormesis size, but it's definitely like big enough to get the stuff that you need done in and, definitely sharpen the sword for sure.
Nice. Okay. Yeah, I was trying to envision it in my head. Maybe.
Dude, I'll have to send you pictures of it. I got a ton of pictures of it.
Yeah, send me some pictures and
Yeah.
we'll release them with your episode thing so people can like
Yeah.
scroll through and see them.
Absolutely.
That'll be something fun and new that we've
Yeah.
we've done.
Yeah.
So that'll be
Yeah.
cool. So how was like it's always like it's difficult, right? To make that transition, much less with the family. But like, getting to know a new set of guys and all that. I mean, how do you like did it go smooth? Did you just have to take your time with it?
So I'm one of those guys, when I came up in paintball, like I got like the itch to progress, to kind of start it back. I played baseball my whole life. I'm 31. I've been playing baseball since I was 4. Played college, played after college. And I learned so many like team lessons. And when paintball happened, I was like, I don't want to suck for long. And I was like, what are the things that I can get good at quick that can kind of help me move up the ladder and kind of get me in with people who are going to help me get better and progress my game and things like that. So the biggest one was just being like a good team guy. Like when you're not on for a point, like you're filling pods, you're helping guys out. And so I'm doing that at practice, right? Is like, I just want to be a good team guy. Like, I'm a sales guy. I can talk to everybody. I try not to be a complete a-hole on the field, right? Like,
Yeah.
so you just kind of, I try to be like just a genuinely nice guy out there. And, I hope that the same comes back to me, right? And I think that just kind of, at Bear Ridge specifically, like it's so family oriented. That is a huge difference. Is like I think Blast Camp was very like business, right? Like you're there to ball, you're there to get work in. And not saying it's not family oriented because it very much is, especially the tournaments, but there's just like so much more on, Bear Ridge that it's like so much for family. Um and Blast Camp definitely isn't like that. Not saying that it takes anything away from it,
No.
but it was like a transition, because it's just like you are getting, you're getting used to a whole bunch of new guys, whole bunch of different call outs that I've known and, different things like that, right? So that's probably the most unique aspect of it is like understanding just like the culture of the game here compared to the culture of the game in the Midwest.
What was the hardest call out to like readjust to?
So I'm so used to it used to go like Dorito corner, echo, home, or Dorito corner, delta, home, echo, God, snake.
Okay.
And now it's like, depending on who you're playing with, right? It's like you got up the middle, it's like Florida, Georgia, Carolina. Then they have Gator is the snake corner for a majority of the Bear Ridge guys. And so like I'm always like snake corner, D corner, right? And then we would do 10, 20, 30, Cobra, Viper, Beast is the snake side. And, it's just whatever team you end up playing on is so different. So I would just say it's the whole field, honestly.
Okay.
Like that was the big, because I always want to just like go back to that bunker right to the right is always Delta to me, or
Yeah.
was. And now it's Florida. And so it's nothing like super crazy, but I've gotten good at studying fields and really getting involved in, kind of understanding how the fields are broken down and bunker calls are something that like if you look at it enough, like you're going to understand it. And that's like one of those intangible things that I wanted to get better at is like, I know there's some people who show up to NXLs and they're like, what's this bunker again? I don't ever want to be that guy.
Yeah.
Right. And so it's like, I try to, the second that layout's down, I'm like, all right, what are the calls? Cause I want to start, I'm just sitting around doing nothing. I'm going to look at them, and start looking at shots and things like that. So, it wasn't anything too out of the ordinary when they did the bunker calls, but still, you always want to go back to what you came up on, right?
Yeah. Well, and like different, oh my gosh, this thing. Different systems have like, once you're in it for a while, you can look at a new layout without even the calls on it and be like, oh, we're going to call this, this, and this, you know?
Yep.
So like it, you got to rewire your brain when you go into a new system a little bit.
100%. And I think the biggest one that I really struggled with was for here, they do a lot of like Indian and outlaw for like the guy is inside or outside.
Okay.
And so what I've always done is shotgun and domino because it's snake side, D side. And I've always like, I'm like, what if he's in the middle? Like, what's the inside and outside, right? And so that was like one that just like, I don't know why I couldn't like wrap my head around it in the beginning because I was like, I don't understand. Like, I'm assuming inside is snake side because when you're looking at it from the field, but I just like anything, if you're on that side of the field, the Dorito side, it should just have a D name. And if you're on the snake side, it should just have an S name, right?
Yeah.
Like, that seems like the most logical thing to me. Doesn't seem that anybody ever wants to do that, but it is what it is. But yeah, the inside outside call, I got it now, but that was one where I always wanted to be like, you know, the Florida's Dorito way or the Florida's snake way. And they're, Indian or outlaw or whatever they do is it always gets me, even now, thinking about it.
uh, I don't think we ever made a like certain word for that. Just like we always just said snake side, like
Yeah.
Doritos
And
looking
well,
snake.
yeah, they like to make it as complicated as possible. I'm learning.
I do understand, like, hey, it's one word that takes place of two, but I don't know. That'd be a hard one for me to adapt to too. So I'm with you, and I like S names for snake side, D names for D side,
Yeah.
and that's just that.
Dude, I wish. And then like up the middle, right? Like we always used to go, command center, Chicago, right?
Mhm.
And like that's the other part too is like everybody uses the names of cities that like they're near, except Dallas seems to be like a very common
Yeah,
bunker name, like universally. But it's like, Chicago was a big one in the middle for us. And then it's like Monster and, whatever other name for those big bunkers. Cause it seems like a lot of the layouts as of late have these like very intricate centers, right?
yeah,
Where it's like multiple bunkers in the middle and things like that.
yeah. It's made it interesting for sure. Um,
Yeah.
and I think what, maybe not the last event, but the Ohio event, I felt like the division. No, it was the last event. The divisionals played it so much quicker than the pros played it.
Yeah, way, way, way quicker. And it really depended on who your team was, right? Because like my job in that was I would sit in that middle W with 12 pods on my back and just hold that Dorito cut the entire time. And, by the end of it, my legs were toasted because you're just like sitting in this like awkward little crouch, like kind of like hunched over this way, just like rolling your gun nonstop, holding them from, flying down the D side.
Yeah, yeah. That what do they call it, combat yoga.
Yeah. Yeah, dude, I was trying to, I told my wife after, I was like, I got to get more nimble because like I couldn't sit there for like, if I played every point and just did that job, I wouldn't have been able to play the next day. There's no way.
Well, that's a real thing. Just being able to hold a pose for a long time is definitely a lot harder than some people think it is.
Oh yeah, no, I have a bunch of buddies who are like big gym guys, and I took them paintballing for my bachelor party like 3 years ago, and they're like, dude, I'm so sore like the next day, and I was like, yeah, like welcome to like not using muscles that you don't normally use.
Yeah,
Like it's not as easy as it looks.
yeah. Being in paintball shape's a real thing.
100%.
It's kind of like skiing. I don't know if you ski, but
I snowboard. Yeah, I
okay.
did. I used to do snowboard competitions like
Oh,
kind of
gnarly.
back in the day. Yeah.
Like, the first week of ski season, if you get out there, like it hurts a lot more than that last week, right?
Yeah. Especially like snowboarding, like you don't realize it, but your arms are like one of the sorest things on your body because you're like constantly like pushing yourself up after getting up, strapping in.
Yeah.
At least that was for me. It was like my shoulders and my triceps were like roasted after the first weekend of like snowboard season because you're just like you're just not used to it.
Yeah. And that's essentially a ton of dips.
Yeah, all day.
Yeah. Um, so I definitely want to get into the history and how you found it, but like,
Yeah.
what do you think made you stick out to get the MVP spot?
So there was a couple points that I think a lot of the ending kind of fell on me being in that middle because everybody else was kind of holding the lane. So it was kind of like I had the ball to finish out the point. Right. And it was just like having that wherewithal to be like, hey, I have to make the move to make something happen. Like it can't be on someone else. And the other part too is, and what I take pride in is being a halfway decent quarterback of the field. And so getting other people to make moves and things like that, stay on lanes so that I can make a move and certain things and just like tweaking certain things throughout the point that, hopefully makes things happen. But there was like two very distinct points where we had a 5-on-3 and I was holding it was their snake from coming down into our Doritos. And I killed the first snake guy coming through. And so it was a 4-on-3. We lost another guy. So it was a 4-on-2. And then I was able to wrap and actually catch two guys trying to go cross.
Nice.
And it just kind of like worked out that way. And then we ended up winning the point. And just like little things like that, right? Like there was like 4 very distinct points that were, especially 2 in the finals in particular, where it was a 3-on-2 and I crawled from the first, like our center wedge to the second center wedge and then to their wedge.
Okay.
And then wrapped and killed both of the guys. So just like, just I ended up having just like a great, it's kind of, I almost think half of it's luck. Like, to make the move, but you hope that a guy's not like looking your way or, catching you in a trap or something like that. So, but none of it would have been able to be possible without the other guys like staying on their jobs. Right. So cool of them to give me the MVP because I got to make the moves, but at the end of the day, it doesn't happen if the other 2 guys aren't sitting on their jobs and doing what they're supposed to do.
Fair enough. You guys, I mean, you didn't lose a game the whole event. You did tie.
Yeah, that one stunk because I think we could have won that one. I think we made some. I think we put people in places that shouldn't have. That was like the one match where I ended up playing the D side can,
Okay.
which I was able to shoot the snake. I found a shot that I was able to shoot the snake 3 points in a row. But still, it was just like we had you have that train rolling. And I'm a big believer in like when something's rolling, like you just don't stop.
Yeah.
You don't change too much up. Right. And that goes with like any event, any practice, anything like that. Like I'm a firm believer in like the 2 rule, which is you don't change up 2 bunkers and you don't change up 2 people. That's like the max that you do. And then that way, so it just keeps some consistency in there. Right.
Yeah.
And so we were just kind of changing a little too much. And I think if we kind of kept the same thing that we had going, we beat them. But, ended up not having to beat them again. We almost had to play them again.
Yeah. They had won at one point, right? Because they made it on also.
Yeah, I think it was ODB and Bear Ridge and then us and Postal. And then we 4-0'd Postal or through 4-1 or something like
No,
that.
you 4-0'd them.
Yeah. And then Bear Ridge beat ODB. And then thankfully for us, ODB beat Postal. And that was the reason why we won the season.
Okay.
Because we had to win and ODB had to take 4th. Or Postal had to take 4th. If they took
Okay.
any higher, they won the season.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh. Interesting. I thought ODB was like in the better position for some reason.
No, Postal was in 1st going into this
Okay.
event. Yep.
Nice. So the stars
Yeah.
kind of aligned for you guys and were able to cut that path.
Dude, you have no idea because it would have been so much easier of a ride if Carolina Ice, they were up 2-0 on Postal and with 1:08 left and they dropped 2 points. Or actually, no, they were up 2-1. and they dropped 2 points, and then Postal ended up scoring a 24-second point to end it,
Whoa.
and that pushed them on, or else they would have taken 7th
But then you
and
would have
not made it
really
back.
been in the clear.
Exactly. Then we would have been free and clear because we were already in the semifinals. So we would have just had to take 3rd, and it would have been over.
Well, maybe it gave you that little extra oomph, right?
Oh, it definitely did. Yeah, yeah. It was good. Yeah, there's actually a video of Ice in like one of their last matches, and they went 5 snake way
Yeah, I
off the
heard
break.
about that. Yeah, one of their players called me and was like, "We did 5 Snake Way, we did 5 at home."
Yeah, I don't know what they had going on, which is crazy because they took 2nd in the last event.
Yeah, I think they had some different dudes. The same team that was there the last event couldn't show up, right?
Mm,
So they reached into the depth of the roster a little bit and pulled out some guys that had been playing. And I think it was just, like you said, kind of trying to don't change too much, right? I think there was a lot of
yeah,
change there from that team that took second. So, and sometimes it works out well, right? You can throw together a squad and it just clicks, but most of the time you got to have some time together.
100%. Yeah, we had that at Cup last year. That was my first D3 experience. Was I ended up jumping on with SBS Wild Side, which is like now the Distortion camp,
Okay.
and went down played D3 Cup with them. We didn't do great, but it was we had a couple guys from that I are now great friends, and I mean we had one practice together, and that was at the event, and then went and knocked out I would consider our rival, which is another Competitive Edge
Okay.
out of Janesville, Wisconsin. So they were kind of like the team to beat in our bracket, and then our win knocked them out. And they were the only one. We tied one, lost two, and then won that one. So we essentially had nothing to lose. They had everything to lose on that. And the loss to us ended their weekend, which felt nice in the moment. But then I ended up playing with one of the guys on Blast Camp after that this
Okay.
year, and he loved to remind me of it.
How vital do you think those practice slots are at
I mean,
NXL events?
to it's I think it's so important because of I don't know if I've ever played on a layout weekend where the field is set up correctly. I really don't. There's always slightly different lanes, slightly different bunkers. They're in slightly different positions. A gap that you thought was there isn't, right? So it's just like, I think they set it up generally the same. But even then, I mean, what was it? Vegas last year was all the fields were super different. And even Dallas this year, going from like the infamous field to a couple other fields, like what you thought was there, the shots, they just weren't on some fields. And so it's just like you think you have it down and you practice it for 3 days, and then you go to you go to the actual event and you practice it, and then you're like, wow, okay, this is, very different, right? But luckily we did one day at Bear Ridge, and then we did one day at Prime with like the semi-pro guys and the D2. And I think the Prime guys had it set up a lot better. I mean, even the Prime, we had 2 fields set up, and the main field that the semi-pro guys were playing on was different than the other field that we were playing on.
Yeah. Well,
So, I mean,
talking about inches, right? Like 2 inches to the left, 2 inches to the right, forward, back can change a shot completely.
100%. And like how you go about playing the field, the moves you think you can make or can't make, you might be able to or not, right? So there was definitely a little bit of that. And I think that did play a part in I wish we would have went down to Prime for all 3 days, Friday through Sunday. I think we would have been more prepared, but it's just we got a lot of guys with families, kids, life, right? Like
Yeah.
myself included. But that's kind of one of the things, like those are the sacrifices that, especially for big events, right? Like that you got to make for something when we're investing thousands of dollars to go
Yeah.
do these events.
Yeah, I mean, to go and do an NXL event is pretty much you could do one NXL event or play a whole regional series.
100%.
At the end of the day, like when you throw in paint, travel, practice, all that,
Airbnb, rental, yeah.
yeah, yeah. Once you throw in all that, like that's what the regional guys spend for their whole season a lot of
Yep,
times. So,
100%.
um,
100%.
you know, But with that being said, if you're gonna sacrifice that much, what's 1 or 2 more days, right?
Yeah. So I
So
was surprised that coming from Blast Camp, right? Like we have I would consider one of the most competitive D3 tournaments regionally that I've ever seen. Besides maybe like the US XBL or whatever it is. Because like we had Blast Camp BC Riot, we had Midwest Tribe, which is made up of a bunch of like absolute ballers. We had SBS, which was the Distortion Camp. There was Grand Rapids Rays, who is a top 10 NXL team. There's Punishers, which is a bunch of like the, top Indiana guys. And then sprinkled in there was like a bunch of guys from who played Immortal Effect, that team
okay.
that won D2 in Tampa.
Yeah.
And I mean, there's 12 teams. So you're like guaranteed to play 2 or 3 of those top teams
Mhm.
in prelims. And then if you're top 6, like you're for sure playing those guys. So I literally like when we won that first event for Max, that was probably the most grinding paintball I've ever seen be played compared to an NXL event when we took 6th in Tampa.
That's a
And
pretty,
and
healthy D3 regional league.
yeah, I mean, it's like the 12 teams, and then there's teams that are even like itching to get in there. And then I came out here and I kind of assumed that there'd be more D3 guys, and there wasn't, which I know he had a D3 sign up, and I think like 1 or 2 teams signed up or something like that, which was shocking because I kind of assumed there would be more D3 guys after, I guess, as NGXL expands and continues, like eventually guys are going to rank up. There's eventually
Yeah.
going to be a D3, right? And I mean, they are growing the sport quite a bit, so I could only imagine it's going to kind of keep filtering in and getting better and better.
Yeah.
But that was the biggest shock, was the lack of D3, and I mean, coming from extremely competitive D3 tournament.
Yeah. Uh, Georgia and the Carolinas have always struggled to have a healthy D3 regional showing. So
Yeah.
I don't know why I feel like there's more than enough talent. I don't know if because there's not something established, guys go to the NXL and then they get burned out, or if they are playing like a regional thing, they're traveling up to Maryland or down to Florida to get it, and they don't want to take the chance on a new D3 league. A lot of people have tried to solve the problem, and it hasn't been solved yet. That's a puzzle that hasn't been cracked.
Well, yeah, I mean, what do they got? They got the MSXL, don't they?
Yeah, and I think that's a little bit more viable for like guys down in Georgia, but like, uh,
Yeah.
I think Carolina and Georgia guys are also spoiled that like we have a lot of good stuff in our backyard, right? So even when if you're making the jump up to D3 and all of a sudden you're having to travel more, they're like, oh, I don't know if I wanna,
Yeah, oh, 100%.
So, because if you're going from Georgia's 4 hours for me, 3.5 ish, if I want to go play in the NGXL, if I want to play in the MSXL, I went and did the Kentucky one. That's an 8-hour drive. So, I think what happens is a lot of guys go, I'll just go and find a D4 team to, you know, be the stud on
Jump on
and
with it.
still play local.
Yeah.
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 So,
No, I mean, I get that
but
for sure, but that was one of the I mean, I was driving 3 hours from north of Milwaukee to Blast Camp every weekend for practice, and I mean,
yeah.
we were grinding we took, I think, like 3 weeks off from December 17th when the tryout happened, played all the way through winter until we left for Tampa, and it was, like, Christmas off, New Year's off, and then, like, the week after that, and then it was just straight snowy paintball from there on out. Even the layout weekend for Tampa, it snowed 2.5 inches. And we were like there shoveling the field. It's 9 degrees outside. It was crazy.
Yeah.
And then that was what made me want to move.
Yeah. Don't blame you after that experience. You won't have to shovel snow off the field here.
I heard it snows like every 5 years.
Yeah, yeah. Well, where you are, probably.
Yeah.
We get it every 2 to 3 years up here, so you're a little bit more south. It probably buys you at least one more year in the rotation. Not that
Well,
it
that's good to
doesn't
me.
get cold. I mean, I think what was it last season? It was like 7 degrees at the first event. down there?
I mean, that's cold. When I was in we used to live an hour north of Milwaukee, and I think 4 of the days last year winter it got to like -30.
No, I'm not going out.
Yeah, so I was like, yeah, I was like, I'm probably never gonna experience that again. But I mean, even then, like my whole thing here is like I hopefully will be able to get out to Bear Ridge quite a bit in the off season, and I'm hoping to, do a pretty big jump in progression skill wise, hopefully with just like drills and learning the game and things like that from this year to next year, and kind of be a more solidified guy on the D3 line. So that's my goal, is to be out there as much as I can in the cold when nobody else is.
Nice. So did Afterlife come first, or did the D3 Bear Ridge line come first for you? Or were they
Those
kind of
kind of like
tandem?
they kind of tandemed, because I had made a post in like the Georgia paintball page, or maybe it was the NGXL even. I had reached out to Josh first and was essentially like, hey man, like I'm moving down, looking to play on XL. He's like, we got D4 all the way up to semi-pro. And I was like, fantastic. I got, I'll earn a spot. And then he got me in touch with Carlton, who runs the D3 line. And he was like, hey, like come out, practice, so on and so forth. And it took off from there. And then Taylor Griggs reached out to me when I made the NGXL post, because I was like, if I'm going to be out there, like I'm going to play NGXL if the team needs a D3 drop.
Yeah.
And they ended up needing one. So played the third event with them, and then played this last event with them.
Okay. And the D3 squad, I think they're sitting like 14th ish, or did you
Yeah,
guys
I
get
mean,
14th? I was trying to, maybe that's not the.
yeah, maybe it was we placed 14th the last event, but yeah, I mean, there's no contention for like a series title or anything like that. I just don't think they had some trouble with like personnel and guys not being able to pay for events and stuff like that. So like, they had their core 5 guys, and the rest has kind of been like, rotation, right?
Yeah.
I think next year, some of those guys on D4 are going to rank up. There's going to probably be a decent tryout, and, we'll be able to pick up a couple guys to keep things, solidified. But, now with like, the whole jungle cats thing, which
Yeah.
I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know if semi-pro is going to only be at prime from now on. Are we going to end up practicing more prime? I like don't know what's going to happen with that. Could be back to driving 2.5 hours again to practice every weekend. Fantastic.
Yeah. Not fun.
Yeah.
How far's the drive for you now?
40.
That's not bad.
Yeah. So I was like so jazzed to have the field that I was playing out of to be so close.
Mm-hmm.
And then, but I mean, it's awesome for those guys, dude. Like, Joey and those guys are awesome. I was talking to Joey pretty recently, and just like learning so much from that dude, like watching him play and the way that he operates, and just like when you really get to like sit down and like watch him command the field, like it's unmatched.
Yeah.
And it shows why they're going pro. Hopefully.
Yeah. I mean, they aren't going to, but they aren't going to shit the bed. They're
Yeah.
going to go pro.
Yeah.
I know there's a snowball chance in hell that Collision can get it, but those guys have worked so hard. And even the guys who started the D2 team with them last year that like step aside, said like, hey, I'm going to step aside so you guys can have a better roster. Like there's a lot of heart and determination in them and around them to have a Georgia pro team. They're going to do it. So
Yeah.
yeah.
And that was one of like the most attractive things like about how they operate. Cause like that's the thing, right? Like again, I'm 31. I want to progress. I started paintball late. I started only 3.5 years ago.
Oh, well, let's do this.
Um,
Where did you find paintball?
yeah,
Like,
yeah,
where did
okay,
it
yeah.
start?
So this is a great story. I love telling this one. So I was like, so let me start with the baseball career. So played baseball my whole life, and then joined a regional team with a bunch of my buddies who won I won a couple championships, and then ended up where I was like, man, like baseball doesn't bring me the same excitement. And so I kind of like tailored off baseball a little bit, and I was like, I miss like being competitive. Like I miss getting better, and I wasn't getting any better at baseball. I was kind of just like this. And there was like younger guys coming in, and they're playing college baseball. You want to see them actually get the reps and things like that, because they need them compared to me, who's just like out there doing it for fun. And so I'm literally sitting on my couch one night, like scrolling on Facebook, and I see a Wisconsin Rage post for like a tryout. And I was like, I looked at my wife and I was like, what if I picked up paintball? And this was like after we had our first kid. So I have like a newborn child.
Okay.
And I'm like, yeah,
Not the best
who knows what this is
timing.
going to turn into. And so I was like, she's like, I don't care. Like, I guess. So I like went Masons, shout out Masons, hooked me up for like $1,000, got a DSR plus, everything I needed to go out and play. And showed up at the tryout and was like, I never played paintball, man. Like, you got to show me what to do here. I'd played like at CPX Sports down in Chicago, if you ever heard of that.
Yeah.
And so I like with my dad and brother, like it was like woods ball, right?
Okay.
So I just was like really banking on like my athleticism. And so, I mean, the trial didn't go like terrible. Like it wasn't awful, but it was like, you could tell I was new to paintball, right? So they, essentially like took me on and were like, hey, we'll teach you, so on and so forth. And so, yeah, I just like sat on my couch and just like saw the post on Facebook one day and just like was like, I'm picking it up.
Okay. That's a unique one for sure.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No one has what I have when it comes to just like finding the game.
And then, I mean, just to go from like, hey, I'm going to do this, buy a decent setup, right? And your first time really with it going out to a tryout. Like, that's
Yeah.
wild. Yeah, I think that's one for the record books, man. I don't think I'm
Yeah.
going to find someone else like that.
And then one of the guys, I owe a ton of my progression to a couple of the guys who they didn't play with Wisconsin Rage, but they used to. And so essentially I played the first year at Competitive Edge in Janesville, held a series, but it wasn't through APPA.
Okay.
So there was no points, which was great. And so it just was, you go out there, you get to play 4 tournaments. It was just D4, 5-man with 1 D3 drop. It was, and they had a 3-man too. So I played the 3-man and the 5-man, was there, out there all weekend, and, got essentially 8 tournaments under my belt. And then the 2 guys or 3 guys, I guess, Cade Christinger, who played for Wisconsin Rage, and then he ended up playing for GG Factory,
Okay.
D2.
Yep.
And then Austin Shunk. So those 2 guys and Bobby Shaw were like the 3 guys who really helped me like progress my game from being like a nobody D5 player to like a respectable D4 player.
Okay.
And then once as that year kind of progressed and, we were practicing quite a bit, one of these guys, Jacob Mesko, so he lives in Wisconsin near me, played for BC Riot last year when they were kind of placing in all those events.
Okay.
He ran drill nights every Wednesday at a local field, Siege. And so I'd go down to those and it would be like him and 4 guys. And he taught me so much. And so he was one of the reasons why I went and tried out for BC Riot when they were going to make a D3 team. I just was like, I want to keep progressing. Like, this is one of the guys that like I want to follow. So kind of when all the, the BC Riot stuff came crashing down and the D3 team kind of folded nationally and they were kind of doing some sketchy stuff, I was like, this is a bummer because like this was, Mesco is the whole reason why I wanted to join this team in the first place. So it was just kind of a very unique thing. Like I just kept going to things, right? Like I was going to these drill nights. I was going to Cody's for those drill sessions. I was, literally I was like the guy who's my wife and kids would go to bed and I'd be like standing in the bathroom mirror, like snapping in the mirror, right? Like I didn't want to suck any longer. And that was kind of what helped me progress quite a bit, jumping from essentially at the beginning of last year, D5 to, playing almost every point in Tampa this year in D3 and, taking 6th. And then that was kind of like the solidification for me where I was like, okay, like I belong here in a sense, right? Where I was like, I can hold my own, like, I got this. Because, being an athlete, like, you always kind of question yourself. Like, I always have imposter syndrome as I kind of progress in paintball, where I'm like, like, do I really, like, am I actually good enough? Or, do I have what it takes and things like that, right? So that definitely helped quite a bit, taking sixth and, kind of being that guy. And even at the beginning when I tried out, right, they had called me and said that I made it. They were like, hey, like, you're really going to have to work to, like, get playing time. And then that's exactly what I did. I was like, okay, watch me. And that's how I've always been. It's how I've been in baseball. It's how I've been in, every paintball team. Even when I made the jump from D5 to D4 with the Rage guys, I was like, they were like, hey, like, you're probably not going to play a ton. And then just so happened, first event, didn't play a whole lot. And then second event, one of the guys got hurt and then played every point. And then literally every point after that. So, two events, I was like one of the starting guys. 'Cause I just, like, hear that, like, "Hey, you gotta earn it," and then I'm like, "Okay, like, challenge accepted, like, watch me be competitive," right?
Turns on the on switch.
Well, exactly, like, that stuff, like, fuels me beyond, like and I think that's, like, discouraging to a lot of people in, like, today's paintball world, just, like, sports world in general, right? Is, like, so many people hate being told, like, "Dude, like, you screwed this up," and they're like, "Well, no, I didn't." Every excuse in the book, and it's like, I just, like, take it and I'm like, "Yep, won't do it again." Even at the event in Dallas, Lane and all those guys were watching us, and I remember we had a point where I was in the mini W and I was, like, holding the lane and the game had progressed, like, quite a bit, and I was just kinda sitting in the W, and then we the other team conceded the point, and Blaine was like he's like, "Mike, you gotta get out of the W quicker than that." And one time you gotta tell me, and then it's like, "All right," and then the next point, you know, out there, 45 seconds, I'm in the W, nothing's happening, no one's coming down the D side, and then I make my move, right? And it's just, like, little things like that, like, I feel like so many people are afraid to, like, take constructive criticism, and I'm someone who's like, "Hey, I suck at this, like, will you help me?" And it's like, so many people, like, hate to admit it, and they're like,
Yeah.
"You are bad you're gonna be bad at stuff." Like, ask for help and, like, follow those guys who are better than you. So, like, I try to watch the semi-pro guys and, like, anytime they're like, "Hey, we need a guy," I'm, like, trying to jump on the field with them as much as I can because it's just, like, the more reps you get, the more opportunity you get, and you just kinda keep evolving as a player.
Yeah. Well, and it's not having the ego tied up in it, right? Like,
100%.
that's what I'm hearing a lot from you is like, there's no ego. There's only a desire to get better.
Yeah, and it's like, I hate when someone ends up like they play, half of the event and then they screw up twice and it's like they get benched or whatever and then they go and they pout in the corner of the pits, right?
Yeah.
If I'm on the bench, I'm going to be the best teammate possible that I can be. Sometimes you get like caught up in the game and you're like watching and you forget, right? But like I'm going to be wiping guys down, I'm filling pods, I'm, filling packs. Like if I'm not playing, I am going to be the best pit crew that you have ever seen.
Yeah.
Like that is now my challenge, right? I'm not going to be the best guy on the field because that's not my spot in this moment, right? And I think so many people like don't want to be that guy, right? You see it a lot with like the semi-pro guys. You see it a lot with D2. Starting to see it, some with D3. But it's like, just own like your role in that moment.
Yeah.
And that's for any sport. So if anybody hears this, right, and one person changes their mindset after hearing this conversation, fantastic. Like that's great. But like that's what I try to offer, especially like the younger guys on Afterlife. Like
Mhm.
we tend to get very hot when like refs are making bad calls, right? And like things aren't going our way. And it's like so much is out of our control. And we're just allowing it to just like deteriorate us in the pits.
Yeah. That's
And
something you gotta learn to reel in, right? Like,
exactly.
and also like if you're not getting it done and the goal is to win, moping in the pit, hey, it's gonna affect the team, but you aren't gonna get your name called again. You know, like
a hundred
the
percent.
coach isn't gonna be like, "Hey, Mopey, come out here and see if you can go stick a dude." You know?
Yeah, exactly. And that was one of the props that I got from a couple of the guys down in Dallas, right? Was being able to come off the bench and go in there and rock the points that I did play, right? And make things happen. hoping to, kind of showcase. And again, like I said, it's walking into a brand new team. It's, not being part of the core set of guys and things like that, which is fine. Like I understand that. I want to earn my spot. Like I want to earn the opportunity to get to play. And it's like the same thing. It's like I think there's so many people that they get, D3 is like such a weird place to be because it's like people are happy in D3, right? And they don't care to like whether they want to get better, they don't. Now I'm not saying any of the Bear Ridge guys, I'm just talking in general.
Yeah, no, I think D4 and D3 people there's a lot of people that are happy being in there, right? And like
Yeah, and
they're
and I'm like I said, yeah, I'm not old, right? 31's not old by any means. Like I think I'm in more at besides like maybe peak college baseball days, but like I'm in better shape now than I've been in a long time, just literally based on the fact that I go out there and I'm out there every weekend. I'm doing like, more mobility workouts and things like that. And um like I want to get better. Like the goal is to eventually play D2. And like the overall goal for me, paintball career wise, is to earn a place on a semi-pro team. Play, even if I get to play one event, right? Like play an event and then rank back down. So then when my kids become 10 and 12, I can start a team with
you
them.
can play with them.
Exactly.
Yeah, that is the ultimate dad dream is to get to
Right?
play paintball with your son for sure.
Yeah. 100%.
I got to see my buddy do it with his two boys, and it's just you can't get that anywhere else, right?
No,
Yeah.
no.
So because you can't your kid doesn't get old enough to play football, and you guys can put on pads together, or
Yeah.
you can't go and play competitive baseball together. Like paintball is one of the few spots where like the age doesn't matter as much, and you can be on a really serious competitive team with your own kid.
Yeah, and my wife is always like, she's like, "How long you think you're gonna do this for?" And I'm like, I don't know, like, because like as you kind of progress, right? It's like there's more and more sacrifices in terms of like traveling for practice. Like, props to the semi-pro guys, how they do so good and don't travel for practice is like think it's like a phenomenon in paintball because I feel like so many people go when they kind of get to that level, especially like the season winning teams, either having people travel to them or they're going to travel. And those guys go out to prime and I got to see them break down a field and do a practice and do those things. And the way that they operate during those practices is just at a different level
Yeah.
than anybody. You look at Ronnie and the way that he does things, you look at Joey, Blaine, like all those guys are just like, it's just like not, it's like superhuman almost in like a paintball world.
Well, but they also like all those guys individually by themselves spent years traveling, to get the knowledge they have. And I know the guys have a couple like ex pros or former pros, I guess I'll call them, on the squad who did the travel thing for a long, long time. So I think they're in a unique position where they've learned those lessons from traveling and now they can apply them at home. And Prime has like a lot of sleeper guys living right around it that are really high end
Yeah.
ballers. Like they might not be actively playing events anymore, but like I know those guys come out there and still help the semi pro guys get tuned up.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I mean, dude, even on the layout weekend, Pate came over to us on on the other field, and he was just like, we just kind of showed him like our breakdown. The dude spent 30 minutes with us and like completely evolved our game. And then we were just steamrolling everybody. And it was like, cause we were kind of like not figuring it out in the beginning. And it was like, it's just like that right there, right? Just like a guy like that to be a part of the camp and learn from him and just 30 minutes, dude. And it was like completely changing the dynamic of how we played points. So it's like little things like that. I really think from a D3 perspective, if we had a true coach, I think individual talent on the D3 line is unmatched. It's just like we struggle to just like put things together. And if we had a coach to just go out there and be like, hey, you do this, you do this, you do this, then it would be night and day difference because that's where I shine. Like I like to have like that soldier mentality when it comes to paintball. Like go out there, tell me what you need from me, and I'm going to do it to absolute perfection or as close as I can to.
Nice. So, did you get to play the 3-man at all?
I didn't
No?
know. I was
Okay.
on dad duty that day.
Okay, fair enough, fair enough.
I would have loved to though, because like jumping on with just those guys and just being able, it sounded like a blast. Like all those guys were so hyped up after it. And then the team that won, like, that's with like Kyle and,
Yeah.
all those guys, like that's kind of like a shoe in.
Yeah. Hopefully it's something that they keep going.
Josh announced that he was going to do it. So I
Okay.
think he's going to do it 3 events next year.
Okay. That'll be
Yeah.
fun. Like, bring out some of the higher divisional guys and let them
Oh, 100%. Yeah. And
have
just
an
like,
opportunity to ball.
yeah. Cause I don't think, like, once you get to that point, right? Like like Kyle and Timmy and those guys, like it's almost like work at that point, right?
Yeah.
Where it's like, there's a lot more on the line. There, you're practicing and you're playing for your spot. You're not just like out there having fun.
Yeah.
Cause there's, how many of guys in semi-pro just itching to get picked up by,
Oh, yeah.
by a pro team.
Yeah, there's a whole division that wants like 10 spots.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like, you're working to consistently keep, your place. So being able to go out there and like blow off steam and like have fun with your buddies and like also shoot, a lot of the guys that like that's always fun.
Man, I didn't even realize that we zoomed past an hour here. Dude,
Yeah, dude, it was
that's
I
awesome.
told you I could talk a lot.
No, this has been great. I gotta ask my buddy's question. Is there a gun that's gone away that you wish you could have back?
No, because like I said, dude, I've been so like I have so little paintball, not a paintball experience. Because I mean, when I got into it, like I went all in and I play so many tournaments. But I did the DSR plus and love that gun. Like there's just a workhorse. And then I was like, one of my buddies had a CS2 on our team, and I was like, I'm gonna pick up CS2 Pro. And I shot one of the guys CS3s this weekend because I was gonna buy it, and I was like, I just can't get rid of the CS2. Like, it's just too good to me. Like, it just feels too good. It works too good. I'm like, I'm not going to switch up something that, when it's broke, don't fix it, right?
Yeah, yeah. Might have.
Or when it's not
When it's
broke,
not
don't
broke,
fix it.
don't fix it. Yeah, yeah. I mean, if it's working, it's working.
Yeah.
That's the
And
fact. So
now it's got an MVP under its belt. So it's like, now I have to keep it.
yeah, yeah. You gotta keep it regardless now. So might as well keep using it.
Yeah, exactly. Right. I just can't. Yeah. And I'm such a plain gun guy. Like, so many people are like, oh, yeah, like Twisters and, HKs and Infamous and everything. I want a plain black gun. I don't need anything special. I don't care about the color. I don't care about the special barrel or anything like that. Just like, give me the base stuff. And like, I'm happy with that because I'm going to go out there. I'm going to trash it anyways.
Yeah, yeah.
I
I
want to
got
be able
some
to use
fancy
it.
guns, but the main is a straight black DSR. Like keep it simple. I don't care what happens
Yeah.
to it.
Yeah. Well, it's just like some of those guns, like $3,000. And it's like, I just
Yeah, I'm
like
not
can't.
doing that.
Yeah, I like can't wrap my head around, and my wife would murder me.
Yeah. Hey, look at this art piece I just bought that I'm
Yeah,
gonna go
which
throw in the mud.
I'd kick myself if I didn't say this though, but like I think wives, significant others, people who support the paintball journey are some of the most underrated people in everyone's paintball life. Because it's like none of us would be able to do what we do unless you're a single dude with no responsibilities or a single woman with no responsibilities, go do the thing that we love to do, right?
Yeah.
So huge shout out to my wife for holding down all the time, especially when we go to NXLs and stuff like that. And I'm sure, you see it. So many other people can attest to it. Like having that support system is incredible. Like that's like the biggest part I think of my journey is having someone when I don't feel like I'm doing well. And she's like, she doesn't come out to tournaments, so knocking her down there. She, is always like, you know what, like if you got to go practice an extra weekend or I'll just be like, hey, like, you care if I go down to the field for a drill night or whatever? And even tomorrow, like, I think Davis and a couple of the boys are going down. And I was like, hey, you care if I go down and like drill with these guys? Because again, opportunity presented itself. And she was like, you know what, like, go ahead, like, have at it. Right. So it's like having someone like that is just, it truly is like awesome because it makes going away for 4 or 5 days so much easier.
But yeah. If you got someone who's backing you, and backing you doesn't have to be being at the events. It can be, hey, I got the house and supporting you, to go and do that.
Allowing you to spend thousands of dollars.
Yeah. Yeah, that doesn't help either, or it doesn't hurt
Yeah.
either, right? For sure. I want to give you time to shout out the sponsors and everything, but you've said a lot of good stuff, and I just kind of want to recap the stuff that stuck out to me, and feel free to jump in. To me, you've been playing what, 3 years now?
Yeah, 3.5
Yeah.
years, yeah.
So you've progressed a lot in that time. There's plenty of dudes who have played 3 years competitively and they're still in D5, right?
Yep. Oh, yeah.
And by choice, or it doesn't matter really why. I mean, I'm in D4. I've been playing 20 years. I've kind of chosen to stay down here, but that's my personal choice, and I stand by it. But no, no ego, looking for opportunities and taking the opportunities when they came is
100%.
really what stuck out in your story to me.
Yeah, it really is just like being someone who people, if you're a bad teammate, people don't want to be around you, right? Like, and that's the thing. You don't get invited to teams. You don't get pats on the back when things happen, right? Like, you just got to be a good team player. Like, that's like the biggest part of progression, because then you know, you do get those other opportunities because people want to be around you when, doing these types of events, and they're gone at NXLs and things like that. And that's like such a big part, because I know some absolute ballers who are terrible teammates and they don't get invited. They're always like, hey, like looking for a team, and no one picks them up because they're like, dude, you're just so toxic in the pits. Like, I watched a dude shoot a guy through the pit at the one of the max events. He shot through the open part of the netting because he got, they're talking crap in the pits and everything like that, right? Like, there's a time and place for that. But like, once I'm off the field, I could care less what we said there,
Yeah.
right? Like, it's a done deal. Even with my teammates, right? Like, you get frustrated, that's fine. Like, say your piece, get it over with, and then be like, dude, we're teammates, forget about it. Like, no big deal. Like, no, hash it out on the field, and once you're off, like, that's done with.
Yeah. Well, and like you said, I've known plenty of dudes over the years that are super talented, but shitty teammates. And eventually there's no team for them because no one
Exactly.
wants to deal with it. No one wants to deal with the ego. No one wants to deal with the drama. And it is what it is. Like, if you're super talented, you'll get away with it for longer, but eventually it's going to catch up to you.
100%. Because eventually, like, as people progress, it's like there's other guys that I'd rather pick up.
Yeah.
Who are going to do the job. And, same thing with like hero ball, right? Like, so many people go out there and they always want to be the hero. And it's like, their coach or whoever, they're like, hey, do this job. And then they do it for like 4 seconds. And then they're like running down the field getting shot. And you're like, what happened? And then the whole point collapses because it's like, dude, your whole job is to like hold this guy in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so much of that happens, right? And I think it's more in like the divisional. I would say like D2 is when it kind of stops, because it's like, you can't keep moving up when that stuff happens. But like,
Yeah.
again, like you said, it's just being a good teammate. It's like doing your job and, being a part of the team and not trying to play individual paintball, because it's just going to get you nowhere.
Yeah. I mean, unless you're super talented, if you're talented, maybe not even super talented. If you got a couple talented guys on a D4 squad, you can definitely win events. I think it's hard to win events in D3 and beyond without discipline.
100%. 100%.
Well, man, dude, just thank you for coming on, and
Well, absolutely, dude. This was great. This was great. Yeah, I know.
we'll have you
I was
back
so
on.
pumped.
Good. We'll definitely have you back on and follow you through. We'll catch up after World Cup and follow
100%.
you through next season. Shout out who
Yeah.
you want to shout out, sponsor wise and stuff.
I don't got really any sponsors to shout out, but one of the guys that's on Grand Rapid Rays, Overshooters, his name's Gavin Hosfelt, I think is how you pronounce his last name. He makes awesome clothes, straps, everything like that. So shout out Gavin. Awesome stuff. That's why I chose to wear a shirt, because he's just like an awesome dude. Represents the game so well. Even though he was our competition through all those max events, he's just like one of those dudes that's just like good dude to be around. So shout out Rays, Shout out over shooters. So those guys are probably the only ones. And then Hex Threads, one of my other buddies started one of those. So another clothing brand. So I'm always trying to support the clothing guys. I
Okay.
really am. Like that's kind of the big thing for me. But at the end of the day, it's just like it's supporting the dudes who, who are trying to start something else. Cause like you hope that support comes back to you in some way, shape, or form.
I think it does, man. Like you get what you put out in this world, like at the end of the day. And that's in everything, not just in paintball. Like if you put out positivity,
100%.
you're gonna get positivity.
100%, especially like the camera guys and stuff like that too. It's like those guys are out there getting beat all weekend long, all day, even at the practices, right?
Yeah.
So like anytime they put out like merch or something like that, I always buy a shirt and, anything to, support and then rock it, during practice, stuff like that.
Yeah. Shout out my boy Impulse Media real quick.
Dude, that guy's awesome. Love that dude. Yeah, I got one of his stickers on my tank.
Nice.
Yeah, he is absolutely awesome. I talk to him sometimes and he shouts me out quite a bit in some of the stuff that he does because I love to support his stuff. Everything that he does, he's always out at the field. He just puts out like the most positive stuff that I've seen in a very long time. And it's not just like paintball really, it's just like positivity in general. Like supports everybody, everybody likes him. Same with like Connor Grebel.
Mm-hmm.
I think is how you pronounce his last name. Like that's another dude that you just like love being around that guy. So those two guys, 100%. Impulse Media though, that guy rocks. Love that dude. He got some good videos of me. A couple weeks ago or something like that. Yeah.
Well, all right. I'm gonna stop the recording in a second.
Yeah.
We gotta hang
That's
out.
fine.
But thanks for tuning in to the Planet Paintball podcast, and we'll catch you on the next one.
Catch you later.
All right.
Thanks for tuning in to the Planet Paintball podcast. We hope you enjoyed today's episode. Whether you're out there grinding in the divisional pits or chasing dreams on the pro stage, remember, it's all about the passion, the hustle, and the love for the sport. Shout out to 1023 Sportswear for sponsoring the show. Don't forget to use code Planet Paintball at checkout for 20% off your order. Gear up, save big. Until next time, keep grinding, keep growing, and we'll see you back here on the Planet Paintball podcast